Hello, hello, hello. Crafty Chris here with another Thursday night Scrap Your Scraps. This is part 2 of the flower shop videos I'm making for this product line. And I am just going through the different pieces that we had left over from the last time. I'll fast forward this in a moment. The reason for the change for the voiceover and this narrow video is just because I was not in a location where I had my regular equipment. So I'm hoping that this will work out. My intention is to point out the different things I'm doing and to let you know thoughts about my decisions around making these cards. So I hope you'll bear with me and I hope this will work out. So I'm looking at the different tags and little journal boxes and things that are available, and there's a couple that I quite like, so I'm going to pull out a couple of things. I love that large white space in the center of that piece, so for sure I'm going to use this. And then I think I'm also going to pull in some of the sayings on this next card. I'm just going to check that the back doesn't need to be cut in a particular direction because I want to be able to use the remainder of this paper for other things. I'm looking for a background paper that I can make into a top fold card, a tent card in effect, and it has to be wide enough to get that A2 measurement and long enough to be able to fold over so that it fits in an A2 envelope. So the piece that I am going to be cutting is going to be 4 1/4 wide by 11 tall, so that when it's folded it will be 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. So just off screen, you can't see it. This cutter has a neat feature. It has a score blade that you can put into the cutting apparatus so that you can score the paper, and so you do your cutting and your scoring all on one. And as you can see, I can just fold along that score line and I've got my base card ready to go. At this point, my journal box is bigger than the actual card base, so I'm going to have to take a few minutes and just trim this down. And I'm doing it sort of evenly all the way around so I retain that nice white space in the center, that organic look, and just take off the outer edges. You'll notice now that I have about 1/8 of an inch all the way around with a blue band on the card base, and I still have that neat organic white center piece. So now I'm going to be looking for things that I can add for sentiments and visual interest on the card, and I've pulled off a thank you piece from the stickers. And I'm going to put on a piece of pop tape so that I can lay it on top and move it around with the decor elements. So I'm choosing some of the hydrangea clusters, and I'm going to add those to the background. And this is where that white organic shape in the back is going to really nicely pop these flowers out, although I will be putting on pop tape to elevate them as well. I'm testing out a couple of other options just to see if I've chosen the things I like the best out of what's left on the sticker pack. I think I've been through the paper packs quite a bit to see what there is for fussy cutting as well. And this is all part and parcel of, finding the perfect thing. So I'm just kind of putting things together to see if I have got the best mix. At this point, I am putting the pop dots on the back of the hydrangeas, and I'm just powdering the back of them so that only the pop dots stick. Most of the stickers these days have this wide white border around them, and I'm not a big fan of that, so I tend to go in and fussy cut a little bit closer. I leave about anywhere from a 32nd to a 16th of an inch versus the almost 1/8 of an inch that some of these stickers have around them. It just makes it a little bit easier for you to see the flowers, and you're less distracted by the outside edge. And so I'm just poking them in behind the thank you sentiment, seeing how I like that alignment and the balance in the card. Now I'm looking for little bits of things that I can add in just to give a little bit of accent here and there, maybe balance a few more things, looking for small items. In this case, I think I'm looking at the 2 butterflies. One's a blue butterfly and one's a pink butterfly. And they're a nice size and fit in with the scale of what I'm working with. And so I'm going to put pop dots on them and powder them like I did with the other hydrangeas. Again, I'm going to do some fussy cutting to get rid of a fair amount of the white outline, just so that it stands out a bit more from the card without being distracted. Now it's time to stick everything down. So I'm just taking the pop dots off the back. I don't have to worry about the stickers sticking in between the pop dots because I've already dusted them, and I'm just aligning them how I had them laid out on the original or on the card prior to sticking them down. Now I need to do something with the inside. It's very busy on the inside, so I would like to have some sort of area for writing a sentiment or have a sentiment already in there. And I forgot to tell you a bit earlier when I was deciding which side of the blue paper to put my front on, I had to make sure that when I opened the front that the actual pattern that was in the inside would be in the right direction. So I just thought I should mention that at this point. So I have found myself a journal box that I'm going to use for the inside. Now I'm just going to center this on the inside of the card so that you have a place to write a message. And here's the finished card with all of its dimension and the inside. And that's I'm very happy with this card. It turned out quite nice. While I was looking through elements for the first card, I saw this sentiment. I liked the sentiment, and I also liked the imagery, but I didn't particularly like them together. So I decided that I was going to fussy cut out the person's body and use the body on a different card. I decided also to fussy cut around the sentiment on this to use it on another project. Not sure what that project would be at the moment, but things pop up. But I didn't want to leave it just sort of sitting there half finished. So I took the time to just fussy cut it, even though I was not using it for this card. My fussy cut legs now need a place to live, so I went back to my journal cards to see if there was anywhere I could put the fussy cut legs that made sense to me to create a nice looking card. And so I tried out a number of options. This was one of the ones that I liked the most, and so I went back to it, and I'm going to be using that as the background for the bottom part of my lady who is holding flowers. After trimming out the body and placing it on my journal card, I realized that the blue that was between her legs was very distracting. So I decided to fussy cut that out so that you could see the white background through that a little better, and it gave more definition to her legs. I was definitely more happy with the space between her legs being white so that you could see her a little more clearly. And now it was simply time to pop dot her and add her to the front of the journal card. You see me here using all the leftovers from all of my pop dots. So once I've used the ones that are pre-cut, I just go and use the bounding edge for the same purpose. I don't like wasting anything. And I'm also pop dotting the back of the journal card because I want it to be raised above the background of the card. I really love the way this turned out. It's so nice having that white in the background. It makes it look so fresh. Now it's time to find a card base. So I'm just looking through the different options I have in paper to find a card base. This one I want to be opening vertically. So I need to have something that will provide me 8.5 by 5.5 inches tall. I chose the dark green as my base and began to cut it, and then I realized halfway through that I made an error in cutting, so I didn't have my 8.5 inches wide. I was slightly short, so I had to do a quick repair, and it was easy enough to do. You just take the original two pieces that you cut, and you'll see me here in a moment realize that I haven't really figured that out properly, because I'm about to try and score it and it's not right. All right, so I just took the original pieces and I will in a moment be trying to attach them and flipping them over. So I'm looking for the pattern so that I can make sure that I align them properly. And I have to put the tape on the underside. So this is going to affect the end result, and you'll see how I handle that a little bit later. But if you put them close together and use some tape and align them properly, you won't even notice that the cut is there. So everything is back to normal and my repair is done, and I'm folding it now in half and making sure that score is nice and stiff. And I will be just trimming it a little bit because with all the different adding and subtracting and cutting, I needed to make a small adjustment in one side of the card to make it absolutely match. I decided that I'm going to have that piece just slightly off to the left-hand side and a little bit up from center so that I can add some other elements in, and it does need a sentiment as well. After going through a number of the different pieces I had left, I found a sentiment attached to one of the 3x4 cards, and I'm just going to trim the sentiment off all by itself and use the sentiment on this card. And then I have the flowers that are on top to use for another piece. I decide here that I didn't like that big white square. It was just a little bit too heavy and kind of threw the card off balance. So I decided that I was going to fussy cut the sentiment so that it looked a little bit lighter on the card base. Just that little bit of fussy cutting helped a lot. You'll see in a moment. I put it back on the card, and it just, having those non-angular edges give it less weight and a little more balance to the card. Once I get everything pop dotted and aligned and stuck together, I can get that onto the card in its place. And as I'm doing it, I decide that I need to have something else on there. So I'm going to pull out some of my iridescent, I think they're iridescent sequins, and load them up so that they reflect the light and draw the eye a little bit. When I've done that, I still feel like it needs something. So back to the sticker sheet, and I'm looking for something to add to the card to just give it a little bit more of a lift. So I fussy cut a few of the hydrangeas from the sticker sheet. Okay, so now for the inside of the card. Because I've had to do that small repair on one side of the card, I need to make sure that I mask or hide that in some way. And if you notice, my card inside is upside down. So I forgot to do what I suggested you do earlier in the video, is to make sure before you choose which side is the front, you check the inside to make sure everything's right side up. So now that leaves me with an additional issue in that I have to somehow mask the left-hand side as well. So I find a piece of similar colored card to the actual base, and I think I have enough for both sides. One side's a bit smaller than the other, but the one that's a bit bigger I can use to mount and frame an interior sentiment, which is just simply a 3x4 journal card. And on the other side, I think there's enough, I feel there's enough covered that I don't really notice whether the flowers are the right side up or the wrong side up or backwards or forwards. So I'm feeling like it's probably a good pick. It also gave me the opportunity to use that small piece from the previous sentiment on the front to dress up that left-hand side. And here you have the finished card. So there's the outside and the inside. And did you notice any repair? I didn't. That's the end of the video for part 2. Please watch for the next video, which is part 3 and the last video for this product line. If you like this video, please feel free to share with friends, and don't forget to like and subscribe at the end of the video. Bye!